Story time of how I caught my ex-boyfriend cheating on me. Y'all better be ready because this one is good. So I started dating this guy when I was 16, turning 17. We were friends first, and I even knew his friends and I knew his family. And he's actually asked me out once before, but I said no because he was a player. And so by the time I turned 16, I said yes to dating him. So things were really great at first. I was really into him and we would go on so many dates and he was super sweet. And there were definitely signs, but I totally missed them. And I'm just not the type of girl to like go through a guy's phone. I noticed he was super active on Snapchat, which is never good. One day he posted a Insta picture and I looked at the comments and there was a girl in the comments, which is fine. Girls can definitely comment. I am not a jealous person, but she had left a comment that said, "You're so hot," with a bunch of emojis. And these emojis were all hard eyes, guys. But a part 2 to see me blend this out and to hear the rest of the story.
When I was homeless, I used to walk around at night and like check car doors and see if they were unlocked. And if they were unlocked, I would get in there and I would sleep. And sometimes I was able to get enough money for a little motel room. It was like $35. If you turned your key in the next morning before 10 o'clock, they would give you $5 back, $5 in cash. I would take that $5 and I would go to the liquor store and I'd buy liquor. And then I would go to the convenience store and buy cigarettes. I always bought like this little crystalline soda, like a cheap soda. It was 35 cents. I would walk to this little park that's in my town. I was so freaking hungry. Oh my gosh. But I never bought food because I was an alcoholic. And so anyway, I'm sitting there one day and it's this beautiful like April day. I don't know what month it was, but it was like such pretty weather. I always carried a book with me everywhere I go. Like I'm a book reader. I love books. And I'm sitting there, my stomach's growling, but I'm drinking liquor and this pickup truck comes rumbling up. Old kind of like country looking dude in the front, and I'm like, I know where this is about to go. I know what he's gonna ask. And he pulls up and he goes, "You hungry?" And I was like, I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, yeah. He goes, "Here," and he tosses me a Hardee's biscuit. And I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And like after that, every time I went there, I would hope that I would see him and that he would bring me a biscuit, and sometimes he did. Anyway, it was just like a nice, unexpected kindness.
Put a finger down if you went clubbing with your best friend and she met a guy and you all decided to go home but share a taxi together. But you two both didn't have any money for the taxi, so you agreed that you'd stop at a cash point on the way back. But the guy that she's with says, "No, I'll pay for the taxi, don't worry about it," even though there's 2 stops. Her place and my place. So we all get in the taxi and the first drop off is her place. But when we get there, the taxi driver asks for money. And he says he doesn't have any money. We turn and look at him and say, "Well, you agreed to pay. We would have stopped at a cash point if you didn't have the cash." The taxi driver proceeds to pull the guy out of the car and they start having a punching match. It's the middle of the street and they're punching each other. So you grab your best friend's hand and you run to her place. You wait until it cools off and you can see that they've left and you decide to get a taxi. But then you remember you're at uni and there's a free night bus that stops outside of your house. So you decide to wait for the night bus. It's now about 3:30 a.m. by this point. You get on the night bus and you sit at the very front where the disabled part is because it's lit and you think that it will be the safest. And then the bus doors close and you think, great, I'm finally going home. But the bus doors don't close to leave. The bus doors close because the bus driver comes out of his booth at the front and starts approaching you. He then starts asking you questions that you feel uncomfortable by, like how drunk are you? And you ask to leave a number of times and eventually he opens the bus doors. So you decide to call a taxi, and this time you're going to ask them to drop you at a cash point. The taxi driver comes, he's a man, it's about 4 a.m. by this point, and he agrees to drop you at a cash point. You get a tenner from the cash point, you get back in the cab, and he drops you outside the house. And just before you pay, you decide to slightly open the door and leave it ajar so it's open. But the taxi driver doesn't see you do this. You hand over the £10, and as soon as you hand over the cash, he locks the doors. He then proceeds to try and lean over and touch you. But luckily, he doesn't know that your door is ajar. So you open the door and you run like your life depends on it. You get in the house, you lock the doors, and you finally get home from a night of clubbing. Be safe, girls. Getting home in the middle of the night is incredibly dangerous these days.
Get ready with me while I tell you about the time I had a stalker. Unfortunately, yes, this is a real and true story, and it is pretty scary. It's also a long story, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to tell the entirety of this thing, but I'll start at the beginning. My sister and I were in high school, and we did post a lot about what we were doing constantly in our town. One of those things being that we would frequent Sonic. We would never post when we were actually there, but it's the fact that we were at Sonic consistently on our posts that's what's important. Somehow, and I still don't know how, this stalker figured out which Sonic it was that we were frequenting. One day, my sister and I are in our Jeep, just driving around. We decide to stop at Sonic for a drink, okay? We stop for a drink, don't think anything of it. Little do we know, the stalker is at this Sonic. We later found out that this guy had been basically going to the Sonic every single day, sitting in his car waiting to see our Jeep come to this Sonic, and then when he did see our Jeep, he decided to follow us home. Of course, we were unaware of this fact, so when we went to the Sonic, we got our drinks and decided to head home, except our car was out of gas, so we just happened to stop at a nearby gas station before going home. My twin sister, Brooklyn, she got out of the car to fill the gas up, and while she was filling the gas up, I'm sitting in the car, and all of a sudden I see in this rearview mirror that a guy is approaching her outside of our car. I feel like every girl can kind of relate. This is sort of a thing you think about. If a guy approaches me, what do I do? How do I manage this? I felt like I was really prepared, so I immediately got out of the car when I saw this guy approaching my sister. Instantly, the second I saw him outside of our car, I had a really bad feeling, like a sick feeling in my gut and goosebumps all over my arms. And as I got out of the car, this man walks up to us and he introduces himself. I'm not going to say his name, and basically initiates a conversation. First, I thought maybe I had overreacted and this is somebody we should have known or maybe knew about us, and I had just misread the situation. That is until this man decided to tell us how he'd been staking out the Sonic, and when he saw our car, tried to follow us home. My sister and I are both action people, and we were clearly starting to get concerned for our safety. So my sister finishes up filling the gas tank and immediately jumps in the car and starts the car. Meanwhile, I'm still on the outside of the car, sort of cornered by this guy. So this guy finishes up telling us how he literally tried to follow us home, and I'm just trying to get away from him. He slipped away, ran to the car, and we drove off as fast as we possibly could. After I get back into the car and we drive away, I am sobbing my eyes out. My sister's sobbing her eyes out. We call my dad and let him know what happens. Obviously, we don't drive straight home. We basically take every different route possible to make sure that we were not being followed. Unfortunately, that was not the last time we saw this man or would hear from this man again. But like I said, it's a really long story and I've been already talking for a long time.
Get ready with me and talk about things I did in my addiction. Part 3. One time I was really sick. No rugs, no money, nothing. My boyfriend was like, I'm gonna rob a place and then I'm gonna trade this stuff for rugs. I was all, you go, Glen Coco. He robs the place, goes to trade. Guess what happens? Somebody sells him fake rugs. And I'm like shaking, I'm so sick. I lick him. Sweet. That type of rug is not sweet, it's bitter. And I went, it's fucking fake. And I freaked out and he was all, literally just robbed a place for me. Lazy. One time I actually did see shadow people. I saw people walking towards me. Literally went like this. I wasn't allowed to be at my boyfriend's house. His mom would freak out and kick me out. I'd always hide there, dude. I would hide under the bed. I would hide, dude, I cannot be here. And I was like, I'm going to make a fort. Made a fort out of blankets, and he came inside my fort and he said, Lacey, you know that if she comes in this room, she's going to look inside said fort. I just felt safe in there. I don't know, man. Which is just so sad because she loved me so much. She was like, Lacey, like, you are not good. You are not okay. When I first started using rug, worked as a dental assistant. When I went to jail for the first time, guess who tried to come and see me? The dentist. She loved me. She sent me in a postcard and she said, Lacey, I'm so sad. Please put me on your visiting list. I need to see you. I was like, hell no. One time I was staying at this random guy's house and I had no clothes and I'm wearing his size 9 shoes. Or size 3 in youth. I was wearing his shoes. Oh my God, please rewind the tapes. I need to see this in real life. And I'm walking outside and it's pouring rain. I used to date this guy named Anthony who broke up with me because I relapsed. Who pulls up next to me? Anthony. Who is using? Anthony. He pulls up and he says, Lacey, as I'm in size 27 men's shoes, I'm all like, dude, don't ask. Not a fucking word. It's him and a girl. And he says, we will give you rugs if you have a threesome with us. Look at her. She was beautiful. Hot. Say less. As said threesome is happening, I see recording going on and I'm like, oh no. He says, this is just for me. I swear to God, I'm not gonna. It got sent around the whole town. Yep. My baby daddy, his parents, everybody saw it. Kim K. Oh my God, I would frequently visit this tranny. Don't ask me. He was a guy who like dressed up in girl stuff. He was actually so obsessed with me. I'm like, dude, leave me alone. I literally would just end up around him because I don't fucking know. One time I broke into a church and slept in it through the window. Oh, for the record, it wasn't my idea. It was somebody else's. And I was like, oh my God, we're at a church. Oh! This one guy would always pick me up and drive me to Grants Pass, which is like 45 minutes away from the town I live in. I don't know how I never died. He would be driving around the back roads in the woods going 120 miles an hour. Like, this is it, this is it, this is it. He was so paranoid because he was wanted to go to federal prisons. I didn't listen to him and he said, get in the car right fucking now. And that happened one time. Get in the car right now, we're leaving. I went, why? Slapped me across the face. I was like, ooh, oh my God. Just for the record, yes, my husband knows every single detail about my past. He just holds compassion for me and he knows what it's like to be addicted to something and you do everything you can to get it. Am I proud of the things that I did? Fuck no. What can I do? I can't change the things that happen, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that shit did happen. I got beat up so many times. Fuck, this is the wrong pencil. One time this girl acted like she was gonna come give me a hug and I was like, she beat my ass. Oh no. Well, god damn. My boyfriend was outside waiting for me in the car and I came out and I was like, had my shit rocked and I was all, drive. Blue strips. I live in the town all my addiction happened. It's so hard for me to drive through it, dude. I don't think it'll ever get easy. That's why I want to move so bad. Oh, too much trauma here. Love you. Bye.
I spent 8 hours tattooing a dragon onto a girl's back, only for her to try and leave without paying me, and that's not even the craziest part. So this woman in her early 20s, she books in a full dragon back piece. I'm talking freehand, custom, tons of detail. Also, she had a complete hack job done before, so I'm covering other tattoos up. It's not the easiest work. So this girl turns up with her boyfriend and her best friend, which I'm completely fine with. I'm always happy for my clients to bring someone or bring people, especially if they're there for a long time, which she was going to be there for hours. So I was completely fine with that. So these people come with snacks. Oh God. What can we do at this point? We've committed now. These people bring snacks. They bring films. To be honest with you, we had a laugh. We had a really good time. I was involved in, I guess, the festivities, I don't know. But it was a nice night. We had a good time. We worked quite late into the night and I didn't mind that because the vibe was quite cool. But then we finished. So I get her cleaned up, wrapped up, give the aftercare information and whatnot. This girl then stands up, looks me square in the eye and says, oh, I get paid next Tuesday. Is it all right if I drop the money off to you then? What? Well, I think she's joking because obviously this must be a joke. You wouldn't go into Tesco and buy a chicken sandwich and say, oh, can I come back and pay you next week? Obviously this is a joke. So I laugh. I laugh because it's a bad joke, but I don't want to make her feel bad. So I laugh and she doesn't. And I realise that this, in fact, is not a joke at all. So I tell her there's absolutely no way she's going to leave my shop today without paying me. And then she turns to her boyfriend. This gets so much worse. Honestly, this is the tip of the iceberg. Just wait. So she turns to her boyfriend and she says, you've got this, right? And he laughs and he says, you know I don't have this. And then she turns to her friend who has conveniently found something very interesting in my ceiling tiles. There was no help from anywhere. Not that I expected there to be, because this is her tattoo. How dare you come and have something done when you don't have the funds for it? So after realising that her friend and her boyfriend aren't bailing her out of this mess, she then gets a little bit brave and she says to me, well, you can't stop me from leaving. What are you going to do if I leave? So I turned to her and said, you're right. I can't stop you leaving, but I have your signed consultation. I have a copy of your ID, which has your address on it, and I have a picture of the work that I've completed on your back today. So if you step foot out of that door, I will be calling the police for theft of service. So after realising how much trouble she would be in if she did leave, she then starts making phone calls. An hour later, we are near 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. at night. The shop shut 3 hours ago. I'd already worked late to finish her back piece. And now we'd waited around for another hour while she tries to sort out the money. She was getting no after no after no, but an hour later it's sorted and somebody's on the way to pay. This next part is unbelievable. So in walks this guy. He puts the money on the counter. He goes to give her a hug. She kind of backs up a little bit, but is smiling and giggling and making light of the fact that he wanted this hug. Her boyfriend and her best friend are just sitting there watching, but the boy who's walked in hasn't acknowledged them as of yet. He then asks, what did you get done? She shows him her back piece. He flips instantly because turns out he was the one who did the hack jobs on her back before. You know, the tattoos that I covered up, the really bad ones, he did them. He's angry because from what I can get from this argument that's breaking out, those tattoos meant something. Then her boyfriend gets involved because he wants to know who this guy is, who's just come and paid for my girlfriend's tattoo, who's been tattooing my girlfriend. Turns out, when she couldn't find anybody to pay for her tattoo, the person she chose to call, the one who turned up and paid for it for her, was the guy she was cheating on her boyfriend with. So at this point, I quickly grab the money off the counter because I am well aware that at some point, they are all going to realise they don't want to pay for this girl. So I grab my money and I start ushering them outside while they are full-blown arguing. Even the best friend is arguing. She's kind of shouting at nobody and everybody at the same time. I don't know why she was shouting, but they were all arguing. So I usher them out. I've got my money. I lock the shop up. I clean up. And then I go out to the car park to get in my car. And as I walk out into the car park, there is a full-blown fight between the four of them. And one of the staff members from the restaurant next to my shop, they'd called the police, who arrived and took all four of them away. And yes, I did sit in my car and watch the whole thing. It was very entertaining.
When I was 10 years old, my mom tried to murder me. And this is exactly what happened that night. My parents lived in 2 different states, so I always had to go back and forth in between holidays. And this year I was at my dad's house, but I was switching midday of Christmas Day. So this was Christmas Day of 2006, and I was 10 years old. So I had a phone call with my mom the night before, or the morning of. We had just celebrated Christmas, and I let her know that I gifted a trip to Disneyland, and I was so excited to go. I remember her emotions instantly shifting, and back then, which I didn't realize at the time, I was super aware or hyper aware of her emotion shifting, and that kind of shifted my emotions with her. I remember feeling guilty that I had been gifted this trip to Disneyland. I just thought, okay, I'm just not going to make it a bigger deal. That's strange, whatever. Then I fly to my mom's house. We lived 2.5 hours away. So when I flew into SeaTac, we actually had a 2.5 hour drive. So I remember her asking a lot of questions. Like, I was obviously so excited to see her. I ran in her arms like she was my safe place, which is part of the story that is kind of crazy. Up until that point, I did not understand her addiction. I did not understand the depths of what she was going through mental health wise. I didn't understand that a lot of things in my household were not normal. It was not normal for me to be getting out her pills. It was not normal for me to be almost truant because of how many tardy and absences I had at 9-10 years old because she was unable to even get out the door to take me to school. It was not normal for me to be getting myself ready, to be eating meals and changing every diaper of my little sisters, and I was only 9-10 years old. That was not normal, but at the time, that wasn't on my radar. Anyway, nonetheless, we're driving back. She's asking me lots of questions. I'm already on edge and like drilling me with these questions. How was that your dad's? How was your stepmom? How was all this and this and this and this? And again, at the time, I didn't realize that she was trying to dig for information. I was just an open book. I told my mom everything. I was a little bit nervous, actually, because of managing her emotions, of how I answered, but I still was very, very honest and very transparent about the things that happened. Anyway, so I started to develop this toothache, and I remember it clearly. The reason I had the toothache is because I had not gone to a scheduled dentist appointment, and I don't even know how long I was to get like a root canal or something on one of these teeth, or even it pulled, and she hadn't taken me. So I would get these toothaches regularly. So I knew that it wasn't that big of a deal, but I remember it hurting really, really bad. But again, I was a kid. I didn't like to take medicine. My mom had so much medicine in our house. I think we had 3 cabinets full of medicine from her. And I didn't trust doctors already because she would always use her addiction covered in mommy's sick. Doctors are going to figure out what's wrong. And I would see these panic attacks and she would have to go into the hospital. And so I did not like medicine. I did not like the doctor. I didn't like anything medical because I felt like they were failing my mother. And so why would I want to take them? So she was like, well, we'll just get medicine when we get to the house. So 2.5 hours passed by. We go to the house. And I remember just being really tired. I had a long travel day. It had been hours. I went to the staircase and I plopped my suitcase on the staircase and I got my brand new cheetah print
pajamas on. Was so excited to just be home and to share Christmas with my siblings the next day with my mom. Just felt like I was in the right place, even though I had no idea that I was living in chaos. So my mom, she was like, just go to bed. And at this time I co-slept with my mom, even though I was 10 years old, and co-sleeping with her from the very beginning. So I got in our bed is what I called it. And she was like, get in our bed. I'll be in there shortly. So I put on a movie and I started to doze in and out, in and out. I realized my mom wasn't coming in. So I was like, that's weird. Started getting like a little bit of anxiety and I would always check on her. I'd always make sure that she was okay wherever she was. So I snuck into the bathroom and I asked her, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Kind of, yes, just go back in bed. So I went back in bed. I thought I remember her on the phone. And to this day, I still don't know who she was on the phone with. That's a little eerie. So then woke back up. I went and like crept through the hallway. She was on our family computer. She was typing something and she got increasingly angry when she found out that I was peeking. I saw 2 glasses on the counter and I could tell that there was liquid in it, but I couldn't tell. It just kind of looked like water. And she was like, kind of get back into your room right now. She didn't want to be in there. So I was already like very anxious. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed. I'm like, I don't have a toothache anymore. I don't need medicine. I'm just going to go to bed. So I go back into our room and I fall asleep. I then wake up to her like gently shaking me, like, McKenna, get up, you need to take your medicine. What happened next, as a mother, I cannot fathom. Our children rely on us and trust us through the deepest levels of their soul. When I told my mom that I didn't want the medicine or didn't need the medicine, she pushed. When I tasted a little bit, it was like the film on a pill when it dissolves on your tongue just a little bit. That taste will forever be etched in my mind. It was the most disgusting taste. To this day, I don't like taking medicine because film powder taste that you have on your tongue, I had that times 1,000. It was so intense, so disgusting. I remember taking a sip and being like, Mom, I don't like that. I didn't even like taking Motrin or Tylenol or like a kid's like vitamin, let alone this mixture. I looked down in the glass, I could see little floating things in the glass and it was clear. I just remember, I don't want to drink this. I don't want to drink this. And my mom kept pushing and pushing. McKenna, you need to take it. You need to take it. You need to drink the whole thing. There cannot be anything left. I didn't realize that she had put 50 to 100 benzodiazepines in that drink for my 10-year-old self to consume. She knew that I was taking that amount of medicine when she forced me and I declined. And she forced again and I declined. And she said, you have to drink every single drop of that. I had no idea. I had the blind, loving trust of a daughter and a child that my mom was going to do what was best for me and had my best interest at heart and my care in her heart. But no, she had every intention of me dying that night. So she added that Capri Sun into the drink to make it taste better for me, and knowing with every sip that I was consuming something that would be lethal for me. Poisoning her own daughter. And I did. I drank it. I drank it because I trusted my mom. I drank it because she was my home. And I drank it because she was the one person in my life who was there for me whenever I needed her and who was supposed to take care of me. And I trusted that. I had that blind faith in my mother because she was my home. After that drink, I don't remember anything else except for my next memory, waking up in this huge giant white room with my dad next to me, which I knew I had just left my dad in Idaho, so I didn't understand how I was waking up with my dad next to me. And then I looked down at my hands and I had all of these IVs. I was hooked up to so many machines. I was looking around, I was in a hospital bed. But the last memory I had was laying my head on a pillow in my mom and I's bed. Comment if you guys want to hear a more in-depth part 2 from what happened after I woke up in a coma, in the hospital room, in foster care, testifying against my mom when I was 12 years old, her being sentenced to prison, me going and living with my dad, who was also active in his addiction after the sentencing, and then later my emancipation. If you want to hear all the goods, comment and I will share, especially within the new perspective of being a mom myself.
These new age luxury hairstylists need to be stopped, because imagine paying $1,000 for your hair just for your hairstylist to be holding the content that she took of you hostage. This is why I would never recommend this stylist to anyone. Let's rewind to a month ago, March 20th to be exact. I am scrolling on my For You page on TikTok and I see a hair video come up. It's a stylist who is located in Vegas, and I never see good Vegas hairstylists. They're always either in the Bay Area, in Houston or Dallas, but never in Vegas, and I loved her work. So I click over to her page and I'm scrolling through her videos. I'm like, wow, look at the layers, look at the bounce, look at the fullness. I was just obsessed. I was like, wow, I have to book with her. So I go to the link in her bio and I'm looking at all of her services and her rules and regulations. I'm reading everything carefully just so I don't miss anything. I can see that she has a bunch of different packages, but for the most part, all she does is quick weaves and sew-ins. So this is something that she does regularly. So I feel more comfortable because this seems to be her specialty. So I scroll down and I see that she has a new client sew-in, and this sew-in service includes a shampoo, braiding down your hair, of course, sewing in the bundles, cutting and styling. And I'm like, perfect. I hadn't gotten a sew-in in over a year before I got this done. So it's been a long time coming, and I used to love getting sew-ins all the time. It was just really hard to find a reliable stylist in Vegas. Either way, I'm super, super excited. I read in her policies that you have to order her own bundles if you want to do this bundle deal or this like sew-in special that she has, right? She sells her own hair, which is fine. Lots of stylists do that. So the way that the pricing is done is if you order her bundles, then the sew-in costs $300. And I'm being specific about the price point because I think it adds to the reason I'm so bothered by the way that this all went down. So walk with me, okay? If you want her to install bundles that are not yours, it's like $400 or $450, something like that. I can't remember. So I'm thinking, well, I need to purchase bundles anyway. That's fine. I'll just purchase her bundles and then I'll do the sew-in for $300. And I'm really, really fixated on this one specific video that she had posted of a girl with a similar complexion to me, and she had brown hair, and I was like, wow, that color is so beautiful. Mind you guys, I've never had color in my hair outside of the braids I got a couple of months ago, but that didn't really feel, you know, like my own hair because they were braids. If I'm gonna get a nice luxury sew-in from this stylist who seems to have a lot of experience and does amazing work, why not go ahead and try out color on my bundles for the first time? So I go ahead and I add on custom color, and the custom color edition is another $150. Again, I have never gotten color before. I don't know the context. Is that high? Is that low? I have no clue. But the price is the price. And at the end of the day, I really want this one specific look. So if you're keeping up with me, this is a $450 service, excluding the bundles. I go ahead and I book with her for the actual service for April 22nd, 1:30 p.m. It's the afternoon. I know I'll have enough time to prep my hair and do what I need to do, take down whatever style I have before I go ahead in for my appointment. I go through the rest of the booking and pay a $50 deposit. And on that confirmation page, it also says that if you're going to do the $300 sew-in, that within 24 hours, you need to go ahead and purchase the bundles from her website. I want to follow the rules. I don't want to agitate anyone. I respect the parameters. I go to her website, but then I realize I don't know what texture was used in the video that I saw. So I go back to the video. I'm looking in the caption. I'm looking in the comments to see if she has answered it already, but she hadn't. So I go ahead and I send her a text message, and I know that this was late at night because I, just had free time. My son was in bed. That's when I had the time to actually look and book this appointment. I'm going to tell you exactly what I said. I say, hi, apologies for the late message. Definitely don't expect a response at this hour. Just sending now so I don't forget. I just booked an appointment for April 22nd at 1:30 p.m. I'd like this install from your page, except potentially with a middle part, and was wondering which texture and lengths were used to achieve this look. I know I have to place the order in 24 hours on your site, so just wanted to confirm before doing so. Thanks so much. And I had sent this on a Friday night at 11:15 p.m. or 11:13. I understand. I'm sending this message late. That's why I put the disclaimer like, hey, I'm not expecting a response back right this second. I don't hear from her for 2 days, which is fine. It's a weekend. I get it. She sent me a message on Sunday and it says, hi, love. Sorry, I cannot see the link. Can you resend it? I say, absolutely. It's this one. I try sending it again, but for some reason, she's not able to view it. So I say, dang, I don't know why it's not working. Let me take a screenshot. So I take a screenshot and I show her what the hair actually looks like. So then she says, I see it. ST Mink Brazilian 4-bundle deal, 22 inches or 24 inches. And then I say, great, which texture? Because she did say ST, and in my brain, maybe that's straight, but let me just confirm. She says, for the color, we can add on custom color. And then I said, yes, I added when I booked with a smiley face. Is ST straight? She says, yes. Perfect. Please order it. Bundles here. And then she puts her website. And then I say, okay, will do. I have 4C hair. Do you think it would make sense to get a curly texture and have it pressed out for a better match? She says, get loose wave texture. I say, perfect. Ready to check out now. Should I be having it shipped to you or place the order for pickup since it'll be colored? Obviously, if it comes to me, then I'd have to take her the bundles for her to color them and it would just create more work. She says, yes, select pickup. I say, perfect. Just place the order. Thank you so much. Okay. This is back on March 20th. So I don't hear anything else from her because there's nothing else to say. I feel like I'm all set for my appointment. I'm excited about it. I even talked about going to this appointment on my live streams, on some of my videos. Like I was super, super hyped to go and get this sew-in done. So fast forward to the day. Now it's April 22nd. I had some things to get done in the morning. Right around 11:30 is when I decide I'm going to go ahead and take my braids down so that, my hair can be ready to go when I get there for my shampoo. I literally had started taking down the first braid. First braid is out. I'm on my second braid and I get the dreaded hey boo text. But instead of hey boo, she says, hey love. And I'm like, oh no, then nothing good can come from this. So she says, hey love, I'm running behind. Can you be here at 2:30? I say, hi, yes, I'll be there at 2:30. 4:30. She pushed me back an hour, but she did let me know 2 hours ahead of time. So I was still at home. I mean, a little annoying because I wanted to be done with my appointment before it got dark. I just have weird feelings about being in a salon suite once it gets dark because I had a weird experience before and it just makes me feel uncomfortable. You know, it's a lot of rooms. You don't know who's in the building. It's dark. I'm with a stranger that I don't know. It just makes me feel uneasy. So that's why I had booked the 1:30 because I'm thinking on the website, it says 3 hours to complete this style. I'll be done by 4:30. It's Vegas. It doesn't get dark here until like 6:30. I'm going to finish. I'm going to record some content. My day will be amazing. Now, the dilemma that I'm having is now that I have more time, does it make sense for me to shampoo my own hair? Because we lost an hour and I still want to make sure that I'm done with enough time to still record what I need to record. I'm debating. I'm going back and forth because I am technically paying her for this shampoo. It's part of the experience and part of the amount that I'm paying. But at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that my scalp was super, super clean. And I've been a stylist before who do not get to the scalp. They don't get the grime off of your scalp and your hair is essentially still dirty, or maybe not your hair, but more so your scalp is still dirty. Your hair is not going to come out well if you're not working off of clean hair and a clean scalp. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and wash it myself. That way we can save time. And then on top of that, I'll be sure that my scalp is fully clean. I clarify my hair 3 times. I deep condition and then I go ahead and put a t-shirt over my head. I'll have her blow dry just in case the stretching of the hair is like part of the outcome of the style. Let me just like let her do her thing, but at least I'm already coming clean. I feel like I'm making great time. My plan was to leave an hour before the appointment, so that would be 12:30. But since she puts me back to 2:30, now it's 1:30 that I need to leave. Her salon is about 32 minutes away from where I live. So I'm thinking just in case there's traffic or an accident or something, let me make sure that I'm giving myself enough time to get there and park and not feel like I'm being rushed. On top of that, I wanted to vlog it, you know, come with me to get my hair done. I'm literally on my way and it is 1:50 and I get another text message. Actually, please be here 3:30. Not, hey, I'm sorry, I'm still running late. Do you think you can come a bit later? Hi, just letting you know I'm not going to be done on time. Is it possible for you to come later? Do you need to reschedule? Can you still make it work? No, just telling me come at 3:30. I'm like, hi, I'm already on my way. Is there a place I can wait? You guys, she never texted me back. So after a couple of minutes of her not responding, I'm like, let me go back home because my hair looks crazy. I can't go and just lollygag for an extra hour because I look crazy. So let me just go back home. I turn around, I drive back home. The reason that I felt like I could not decide to not go is because she has the bundles. For the 4 bundle deal for the lengths that I got, which I believe was 24 inches, was $660 or something like that, just shy of $700. So she has these bundles with her and she has my deposit. Had it only been a deposit, honestly, I might have just been like, you know what? No, like this is annoying. I do not feel like going back and forth with anyone. That's just not my style. I don't want to have to argue with her about the bundles and when I can pick them up. I didn't want any drama. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I come back home. I end up leaving out again right around 2:45. I'm driving. I'm on the way. I'm on the phone with the guy that I'm talking to and I'm like, yeah, it's so annoying that she pushed me back 2 times, but I'm going to try to have a positive attitude and just make the most out of it. Now, am I going to have to deal with some BS along the way? Probably. I'm not going to lie. I did get a bad feeling that something was going to go horribly wrong during this appointment and I wasn't wrong because my intuition never lies. Big Leo energy. I should have just been more mentally prepared because my gut was telling me something was off. So remember how I said she never texted me back? At 3:29, mind you, she pushed me to 3:30. 3:29, she sends me a message and she says, yes, I'm ready. Are you here? Sorry, just seen it. You're lying. You're lying. I'm sorry. You're lying. There's no way you did not see the text for an entire hour and a half. You did not look at your phone one time for an hour and a half. Be for real. You're a business owner. There's no way on earth. And this was actually confirmed because when I went in, she was actively checking her phone. So you definitely saw it. You just didn't feel like you owed it to me to respond to me, which is crazy work. I'm your client and I'm asking you a question. Hey, is there a place for me to sit? Because I'm already on my way to your establishment and you have already inconvenienced me 2 times now, but I'm being unreasonable for asking, hey, is there a place that I can sit? It's crazy and it's terrible communication. Having good communication is part of being professional and doing your job well. And on top of that, there's a way that you speak to someone. It's called respect. Simple respect, right? So in my head, when she said, oh, I just seen it, you're lying and it's annoying, like you're insulting my intelligence. So anyway, I say yes to answer her question about, are you here? So I go to the door. I'm waiting for like 3 minutes. She comes to the door and she says, hey, how are you doing? And I say, hey, I'm fine. How are you? Am I my bubbliest? Am I my perkiest? No, I'm annoyed. But I will be honest and say that I was not rude to her. I responded back to her. I didn't come in with an attitude. I just wasn't my full bubbly self. We get into her salon suite, very pretty in there. And I even told her that. I was like, oh, I love your paint in here. She asked me how I'm doing again. I don't know if she was just trying to like break the ice or create some small talk or something. And I was like, oh, I'm good. How are you? Because you already asked me that, but whatever. Let's keep on going. So as she's taking the t-shirt off of my head, I say, I already washed in deep condition, so maybe we can speed this up. And I don't care if it came off a little bit shady. That's one less thing that you have to do that I am already paying for. She says, oh, okay, you've made me feel off put. Now everybody feels off put. All right. She gets to blow drying my hair. Now, question for the class. If you are blow drying kinky curly hair, I have 4C hair, what do you use to blow dry your hair? Basically what she is doing is she has the blow dryer in one hand and she's combing out my hair with her other hand, but she's aggressively pulling it. And you guys, I am not tender-headed. I never have been tender-headed. I grew up getting box braids in my hair. I know how to withstand a little bit of pain to my scalp, girl. But she is literally like pulling out my hair. I hear it and I feel it being ripped out of my head. So my question is, as a hairstylist who is charging a premium price, why are you not using the tools that are at your disposal to properly blow dry my hair? Instead, you are choosing to yank out my hair with your hands and blow dry so aggressively. Like, it made no sense. The plot thickens. It gets worse. What is the only worst thing that you can use to blow dry your hair besides pulling it out with your hands? This girl grabs a rat tail comb. A rat tail comb, the smallest comb that you can get. And she is combing from the root of my head to the tips of my hair. Why are you combing from the root? Did we not all learn this at like 6 years old? If you're going to comb your hair, that you do it from the tip up to the root so that you don't pull out your hair, so that you're gentle. It was honestly mind blowing to me that this was her method of blow drying. This was the absolute worst blow dry I've ever had in my entire life. So she finally finishes the blow dry and it's time to move on to the braid down. She is braiding my hair. And for anyone who has ever had their hair braided before, you know that as you're braiding the hair, you kind of have to pull the strands through so that you don't create another braid or a knot at the bottom. But she is creating knots and actively just pulling out the knots and then flicks it on the floor. I know for a fact I'm losing hair as she's doing all of this because she's not being gentle. What it feels like is that she's rushing because she started 2 hours behind schedule. Granted, I don't know the context of why she was pushed back. Did she have a problematic client? Did she have a late start to her morning? I have no clue. But honestly, it's not my problem. All I know from my perspective is that you have pushed me back. So how's it fair to me that now you're rushing through my appointment because you were running late? We're not running late because of me. We're running late because of you. Anyway, she finishes the braid. She puts some oil on my scalp. She puts a net. She asks me to hold the sides of the net while she sews it down. She does all of that. Okay. Now it's time to move on to the bundles. And because in my brain, I'm thinking this is going to be a vlog, I'm like, let me get a couple of little clips. So I'm like, can I see the bundles? That way I can go ahead and take a little bit of a video of it. What I didn't say before is that as we're going through the appointment, she did try to strike up conversation with me a couple of times. She had asked me whether or not I was doing YouTube because I guess she was looking over my shoulder at my phone, which is very intrusive. Like, I get it. You're working above me, so you might glance down and see something, but it just made me feel uncomfortable. She was like, oh, is that YouTube? And I was like, oh yeah, it is YouTube. I do a little bit of YouTube on the side or whatever. And then another time I was commenting back to some comments on one of my other videos and she was like, oh, that's your TikTok? And I was like, yeah, that's my TikTok. That's how she knew that I was doing a little bit of content. And I did tell her like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of a vlog or something. So I'm recording the bundles and I'm like, are these the colored ones? And you guys, she looks at me and she says, you got color? Saxophones are getting louder. I'm like, yes. This was supposed to be custom color on the bundles. And she's like, hold on, let me check. So she gets on her phone and she's clicking through and she's like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be color. First of all, I wasn't lying. Why would I make that up? I know what I booked. And so she's like, oh, I can still color them. And I'm just like, well, how long is that going to take? And she's like, oh, 30, maybe 45 minutes. Like, it's not going to be that long. In my head, I'm like, an extra 30 to 45 on an already 2-hour delayed appointment is not nothing. Like, now we're dragging it. And I'm like, okay. So she gets on the phone. She's like, hold on, let me call my assistant. All right, girl. She gets on the phone and she's telling whoever like, oh, it's in the garage on the white shelf or whatever. It's out of my control at this point. And I really just had this image of how I wanted my hair to look. I have a trip coming up to Japan, a solo trip, and I wanted my hair to look a certain way. We wait a good maybe 20 minutes or so for somebody to bring the color. But now she has to do the whole process. I am not a hairstylist. I don't know a lot about dyeing hair, but I know that it's not something that takes 5 minutes, right? So I know that she's going to have to apply the color. It's going to have to sit. She's going to have to wash it out, right? This is a multi-step process, which is why it should have been done and ready for when I got there. So she's prepping the hair for the color. And as she's doing that, she says, I can give you $25 off for pushing you back and for the color. America, $25 off of over $1,000 that I'm spending with you between the bundles and the service, $25 off. Am I tripping or is that nothing? Am I being unreasonable? Am I being entitled? Keep in mind, she also has never apologized. And I know that that might sound petty, but it's just a human decency thing. It's not just what you say, it's the way that you say it. And it just was giving like, here, damn. I'm over here like, girl, you know $25 is nothing to you and it is nothing to me. So let's not make it seem like that makes up for any of the BS that has gone on during this appointment. And you guys have to keep in mind that this entire time, I'm pretty much acting under duress. I need my hair to be done. I don't want her to play in my head. If I'm going back and forth with her, like, no, you need to give me 100 off. No, you need to give me this off or that off. I don't want her to not do a good job on my hair. At this point, all I want is for my hair to be done and for me to get up out of there. I don't argue with her. I'm just like, all right, I appreciate it. She colors the hair. Now we have to sit and wait for an hour. for the hair to process or to take or whatever. I don't know the right verbiage for that. We're sitting, I'm on my phone, I'm editing, she's doing whatever she's doing. It's awkward, it's quiet. I mean, just uncomfy. Literally, you guys, you know that song, I think I'm gonna die in this house. That's how I feel. Like, damn, am I ever gonna be out of here? Finally, it's done, and she is able to go and rinse it out, wash it out. The bundles are ready to go in my head. She starts to sew the bundles in my head. She did poke me a couple times. I didn't make it a big deal because that happens. You know, I'm not expecting for her to be perfect. I don't think it's intentional, but at the same time, it's like, at this price point, like, why am I being poked? Eventually, she finishes sewing, and now she has to take care of my leave out. Now, I had watched a lot of videos on her page, so I know the way that she does her leave out, which is the way that I prefer. You add some kind of like a mousse or a setting lotion to the hair, and then you kind of like wrap it with a net or something, and then you sit under the dryer. So it helps it keep its shape and it doesn't frizz up and lift as much. That is what I'm expecting that she's going to do, because every single sew-in that I've seen on her page, that is how she does the leave out. But then she's like, hold on, let me go check something. She leaves, she comes back, and I don't know if maybe they only have 1 or 2 hooded dryers and someone was using it. I don't know what happened, so I will be honest about that. But she comes back, she puts whatever the setting lotion is on my hair, and then she grabs the blow dryer, and then she's blow drying my hair. So I'm thinking, oh, so I'm not gonna go sit under the dryer. I don't even bring it up at this point because I just want to get out of there. I can tell the difference. My hair is not as silky as it would have been had she used that method, because I've done that method before, and that is the best way to get the hair to lay, you know, and really blend in with the bundle. So I'm like, okay, whatever. She finishes doing that, and she asks me what size curls I want. I'm like, oh, I want a lot of layers and I want big curls. We give credit where credit is due. We're never gonna exaggerate over here. I'm telling it exactly as it was. Did she do a good cut? She did. She put a lot of layers in the hair. She was doing her big one with the scissors. I was like, cool, this is what I paid for, the expertise. But the service is just trash. It really feels like she's trying to get it to look good, but that's part of the problem. If all you care about is the way that the hair looks, but not the damage that you're doing to the hair or the health of the hair, then I'm not gonna have any hair left, you know, if I keep coming to you. So in order to blend my real hair further with a bundle, she uses a hot comb. And I'm sorry, she needs to practice more with a hot comb. She burned me multiple times with this hot comb. And if anyone has ever experienced getting your hair pressed out or silk pressed or flat ironed or whatever, and somebody uses a hot comb for your roots, if they burned you once, you're gonna be like cringing every time they go close to your scalp because you know what it feels like to be burned. She does that a couple of times. She does apologize once or twice when she did it, and I'm like, oh, it's okay, because what else can I say? You know what I mean? Thank God she's finally done with a hot comb, and she goes in with a curling iron. She does a curl, and then she pin curls it. She does a curl, she pins it, and she does my whole head. She sprays it, does her thing, takes the pin curls down. The curls look pretty. I do think that the color looks good. It's what I wanted. So I'm not going to say that the quality of her work is the problem. It's everything surrounding it. Now, one important thing that I didn't mention is that in the confirmation email that I got the day before my appointment, because for some reason stylists these days can never let you know their location until the day of or the day before, which is so silly in my mind. In that email, it says, come camera ready. So not only am I paying you a premium price for the services that I'm getting, but you also are expecting that I'm going to come with makeup on and ready to pose, which is a diabolical ask when you are being paid for a service. You're not paying me to be featured in your content. You're not giving me a discount for being in your content, even though that same content is going to be what brings you in new clients. You shouldn't feel forced or pressured into being in somebody's content. I already was going to come ready for content because I was going to record my own content. I'm making my vlog. That's where my mind is at. So I'm like, okay, let me look cute. I'm just making a case for the fact that not everybody wants to be on camera, and you as a stylist cannot put that expectation on your clients. But either way, because I know she's recording, I'm like, hey, can you send me the clips that you get so that I can use it for, you know, my stuff? And she was like, you want me to send you all the clips? And I was like, yeah, it's just, you know, like B-roll. I can put it in my vlog. And she's like, okay, yeah, I can send them to you. I had brought this up at least 2 times prior to the end of the appointment. The end of the appointment comes, I'm ready to pay her and get out of there. I was itching to leave. And she's like, oh, do you have cash? And I was like, no, I have a card. And she was like, oh, okay, I was just asking. And I was like, wait, why? And she was like, well, if you pay with Apple Pay or Cash App, it's an extra 10% processing fee. And here is where I can take accountability, you guys, because I'm never going to just tell you one side of the story. I'm going to tell you my part in it too. On her booking site, it does say that if you don't bring cash, you'll have to pay 10% to pay with Apple Pay or Cash App. I'm not going to argue with you on that because it's on your booking site. And by booking with you, I have accepted the terms and conditions, right? That was my fault for overlooking that and not coming with the cash. But at the same time, in what universe is there a 10% processing fee for any institution? I don't know about you guys, but the highest I've ever seen for a credit card processing fee is 5%. But what I see more often than not is 2.5 to 3%. 10% is crazy. You're allowed to do whatever you want. You're allowed to charge whatever you want, but that's really just taking advantage of people. Mind you, it was $450, $300 for the sew-in, $150 for the color. I paid the $50 deposit, so now we're at $400, and she gave me that week $25 discount, so now I'm at $375. But with the 10% fees, it came out to like $415 or something. Do you know that this girl has the nerve to turn the phone around for a tip which is so insane because if you know me in real life, you know that it is not uncommon for me to leave a 50% tip for a beauty service, a 75% tip for a beauty service, double up on the payment for a beauty service. I love to give a good tip, especially if it's a Black woman. This is the first time I have not tipped a beauty provider in my entire life. I'm talking about in college when the funds were limited, I would still tip people. Do you know how bad it has to be for me to not give you a tip? Girl, the way I click no tip, because are you insane? And actually the irony of it all is that it got declined the first time because Chase thought it was fraud. Even the bank thought you were scamming, girl. And as I'm doing this, I remind her again, hey, can you airdrop me those videos? She's like, yeah, I'll do it. We finish everything. I'm ready to go. Okay, I grab my purse. I say thank you. She walks me to the door. She says bye. I say bye. I get to the car and I realize that she still hasn't sent me the videos. And so I send her a text and I'm like, hey, can you send me those videos, please? This was yesterday. Ask me if she has texted me back. Crickets. So you're gatekeeping the content that you took of me. Mind you guys, it wasn't just like a picture here, a picture there. No, full videos with the light directly pointed towards me. Like you took actual legitimate content of me and you don't want to send me the content of me. What, because I didn't give you a tip? Like what's tea? What's the problem? So that is how we got here, you guys. I've never had an experience like this where I absolutely love the results of the service that I got. Minus this crooked ass middle part. Because you guys tell me, does this look like a middle part or does this look like a forward slash? The part is not straight. At that price point, you think you'd be able to get a straight part. Nope. There's a couple of places where my hair is lumpy because of the way that she braided it. But overall, I like it. She will never see me again though. And this is what is so incredibly frustrating. You spend your hard-earned money on a luxury beauty service or any type of beauty service just for the stylist to absolutely disrespect you and play in your face. So with all of that context, that is the reason why I'm not going to share where I got this hair. I'm not going to share who did it because she does not deserve your business. She didn't deserve my business. And I'm not going to send any promotion or publicity her way. And if you are in the Las Vegas area and you're wondering if this is someone that you have booked with, you can DM me and ask me, hey, is the stylist this person? If it is, I will let you know so that you can avoid booking with her. I'm not here for drama, but she did me dirty. She did. And that's the end.